now I want to shift to Justin Fields and the Ohio State Buckeyes. So Justin Fields recently just completed his second full season as the full-time starter at quarterback for the Ohio State Buckeyes. Ohio State just recently lost to Alabama in the national title game, 52-24. Look, Justin Fields played okay in that game. He didn't play awful, but he also did not play great. It was a solid performance from Justin Fields. He was not particularly special. He made some special throws, but his overall performance wasn't, a special performance. It was good. It was okay. It was fine. But look, I don't hold that loss against Justin Fields too much, because look, if you can't beat Alabama, that should not be held against you because, well, I don't even think Trevor Lawrence could have beaten Alabama this year, okay, because they were a juggernaut, okay? And look, I've said in the past, I'm a huge believer in Justin Fields' talent. I believe that he can become not just a regular franchise quarterback, but a great franchise quarterback. I'm talking top 5 to top 10 quarterback in the NFL potentially one day. He makes really good decisions. He's got a really strong arm. He's a pretty accurate thrower of the football. And to me, at worst, Justin Fields should be the second quarterback taken in this draft. Now, I'm a big fan of Trey Lance as well, so I can understand why an NFL general manager wants to build around Trey Lance as opposed to Justin Fields. I do think that Trevor Lawrence is going to be taken number 1 overall in the draft, but at the very, very worst, Justin Fields should be the third quarterback taken, and ultimately that might be a mistake. The bottom line is Justin Fields, he's worth a top 5 to top 10 pick. I'm all in. That's my opinion on Justin Fields. I've seen enough. But with that being said, I know this is going to sound crazy, but I believe Justin Fields should consider staying in college at Ohio State for another year of development at the quarterback position. If Justin Fields goes to the NFL this year, is that a terrible idea? No, not at all, okay? Because right now, to me, it's pretty clear Justin Fields is going to be taken in the first round of the draft. I will be shocked if Justin Fields gets past the New England Patriots at number 15 overall. I expect Justin Fields to probably be a top 15 to top 10 pick. There are teams like the Jets that could draft him. There are teams like the Falcons that could draft him. There are teams like the Panthers that could draft him. The Jets are a very dysfunctional team. Not sure if I want to see Justin Fields in a New York Jets jersey, although I will say Robert Saleh is a pretty good hire by the New York Jets. We'll talk about him later in the show. I do love the Atlanta Falcons situation. I do love the Carolina Panthers situation. There's a lot of good situations out there that will be ideal for Justin Fields, especially if he can go to Atlanta and sit by Matt Ryan for a year and develop and learn. But here's the thing, people. It's not a terrible idea for Justin Fields to leave school, but here's my concern about Justin Fields. Why do I pause about Justin Fields to a certain degree, and why do I think Justin Fields should consider coming back to school to develop for another year? The reason why I say that is because versus good to great teams in college football, up to this point, Justin Fields at times has struggled. Versus Northwestern and Indiana this year, Justin Fields was not very good. Versus Alabama, he wasn't bad, he wasn't terrible, but he wasn't great. He was good, okay? And I just wanted to see Justin Fields really build off that spectacular Clemson game they had versus Trevor Lawrence and the Clemson Tigers, where he was by far and away the best player on the field. I wondered what happened to Justin Fields in the national title game. Why did he come down to earth? I understand that it would have taken a miraculous performance for Justin Fields to pull off the upset versus Alabama, even though I did pick Ohio State sort of foolishly in that game. But in that game versus Alabama, Justin Fields was not the best player on the field. Mac Jones, Devontae Smith, and Najee Harris stole the show. And even dating back to last year, Justin Fields was just okay versus Clemson. He was okay versus Penn State. He was okay versus Michigan State. He was good but not great versus Wisconsin. And I just walk away from these games saying, man, Justin Fields made some really good throws, but there's just maybe a little something missing. And I just wish he would process a little bit faster. I just wish he would be a little bit more accurate in these big games. And look, what Justin Fields has to realize is this. The NFL is not going anywhere, okay? And keep in mind, Justin Herbert, who is probably going to win NFL Rookie of the Year, he stayed 4 years in college. A lot of folks criticize Justin Herbert for staying another year in Oregon. I guarantee you, Justin Herbert right now today, he does not regret staying at Oregon for a fourth and final season. Meanwhile, Justin Fields, he's only had about a season and a half at Ohio State because Ohio State only played, I believe, 8 or 9 games this year, okay? Peyton Manning, a top 3 quarterback of all time, stayed for 4 years in college. Experience is everything. And by the way, you know a guy named Dwayne Haskins who put up 50 touchdown passes at Ohio State in only 1 season as a starter? Dwayne Haskins was great, but it seemed to me at times Dwayne Haskins, because he had that lack of experience, was overwhelmed very early in the NFL. Look, Justin Fields, I think he's a little bit more polished than Dwayne Haskins just because he has more college starts under his belt and is more mobile than Dwayne Haskins. Dwayne Haskins and Justin Fields are 2 polar opposite quarterbacks. I do believe in Dwayne Haskins still to this day. I think Dwayne Haskins, if he gets a second opportunity, maybe with the Carolina, maybe with the Indianapolis, maybe with the Pittsburgh, maybe with the Atlanta Falcons, backing up Matt Ryan, he could do some good things and become a great franchise quarterback. But right now, his future's up in the air. And I think that a big reason why Haskins was not able to produce early on in the NFL was because he was slightly overwhelmed by the competition. And see, the thing about Justin Fields is he's playing with a lot of good wide receivers, really good running backs, really good offensive line, really good head coach. Life is easy at Ohio State. But in the NFL, the gap between the talent is very slim. The difference between players in the NFL, more times than not, is the effort those guys put in and the work they put in, okay? And I just would hate to see Justin Fields maybe not be as refined coming into the NFL, and then he may never fix those issues once he gets there because, look, we can assume that, the Falcons are going to develop Justin Fields. The Jets are going to develop Justin Fields. Well, you never know. You never know with these head coaches, okay? So, look, if Justin Fields enters the NFL draft, it's not a terrible decision. It's really not. He's going to be a first-round pick. He's going to make a lot of money. He's going to make his family happy. And ultimately, I think Justin Fields can come into the NFL and do some great things. However, because of all the reasons that I mentioned, I believe Justin Fields should at least entertain the idea of staying for one more season at Ohio State to develop his skill set. Thank you so much for watching this video today. Please also note that the Juice Alert Sports Podcast is not just a YouTube channel. It is available on all podcasting platforms, including Spotify, Google Podcasts, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts. Also, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share this content with all your friends. This podcast is my favorite thing in the entire world right now. It is my passion. And I want more people to listen to this podcast. I really want this podcast to grow. Also, a fun fact about me is that I want to go into the sports broadcasting and media world once I graduate from the University of Toledo, a college in Northern Ohio. I am looking to become one of the next great sports broadcasters and analysts out in the world. And I potentially would like to start my own network if this podcast really truly grows. Or if I fall short of that goal, I would love to work for a big-time network like ESPN or Fox Sports 1. I am open to all networks. So if you believe in my dreams and you see or hear my passion through the screen, be sure to tell all your friends about the Juice Alert Sports Podcast. Stay motivated, you guys. Have a God-blessed day, and I'm out.